Thinking of album art that represents a musical project is a relatively abstract process for me. I mean, I imagine the music unto itself, and then this particular record, this immersive record, does actually have a visual component because it's a cinematic album, and to me the film and the music are sort of one, and it's sort of my ideal as an artist to get to share them as one thing. But when it comes to like a still image on the cover of a record, it's such an interesting thing that leads us to decide that something visually represents our music that way. So for this record, I thought about it, and eventually the idea of pendulum art came to mind. And I'm just drawn to the concept. I also think that it sort of evokes a three-dimensionality when you look at pendulum art, right? There's this sense of a circular or oval, based sort of shape. And there's also just a sense of motion in it, and it's just very attractive to me aesthetically. So that was on my mind, and I talked to my good friend, the cinematographer for the project, Michael Fisher, and I expressed, I think the pendulum art would be appropriate for this. But as much as, of course, a record cover needs to be a still image, I sort of see the artwork as also being a video. Now, unfortunately, at this point, I'm not making like a Blu-ray cover with a screen on it. It would be pretty cool. I think Michael even said to me one time, it's like, maybe we can do one of those things where you look at it like this and it sort of changes shape. Again, not a bad idea at all. But we talked about it and realized, okay, let's make a pendulum art piece that is the cover, but let's also capture the process. Let's capture it beautifully. Let's make a beautiful video of that artistic process taking place. And he also connected me with the artist who created the beautiful art that is the cover, and also as a part of the film on two occasions in the songs. Actually opens the first song, Flow, and it's also a part of the seventh song, Pendulum. And his name is Grahame Lynch, and he's from Stratford, where Michael's from, in Ontario, and he's just a brilliant artist. Michael connected us, and I remember we had a little Zoom call, and I expressed, Grahame, here's the music, here's the nature of the project, and here's what I'm envisioning, that we'll do this, I'd like to commission you to create a pendulum art piece, but we'll also not only, create the art and then photograph it afterwards, but we're going to video that art being created. And to me, the video of the art actually represents how the music was made, because the video shows the art being created over time. It's a process, and music is an artistic form that requires time for us to experience it. You cannot experience music like that. Now, I'm not suggesting that you can experience a painting in the flash of a second either, but at least, with a still image, you can take it all in one moment. You can experience the culmination of that artist's work. Where with music, it doesn't work like that. If you press play for 1 second, you have no concept of what the music is. So the idea of filming it is actually, to me, that's the artwork. That's the best representation. And so anyways, brought this idea to Grahame, and he himself is not like a regular pendulum artist, but he's just such a brilliant artist that he went away and he prepared a number of canvases absolutely beautifully with a sort of color palette that we discussed, and practiced a little bit, just sort of getting a sense of the flow of the paint. But he also, with his wife, created this gorgeous vessel. Rather than just a paint can, they created this lovely vessel that had just the right tip opening and this lovely denim around it, so that when we were videoing the process, that the actual instrument holding the paint would also be beautiful. Such an artist, such a gift, and I didn't know that. So what we did was we booked a day at a venue in Stratford, Factory 163. Grateful to them for having us. This lovely open sort of old industrial factory kind of vibe. Nice wooden floor, wicked beams everywhere, old windows. And we set up for the day and we practiced a little bit on some paper and just got a sense of where the cameras should be. Michael set up 5 cameras at different depths, wider shots and really close-up shots, some slow motion shots. it's amazing. I mean, he created more cinematic mastery, which he did all over this project. And so we set up and we rehearsed, and then once the sun came down in the evening time, it was really snowy that day too, now that I remember it. It was like crazy snowstorm outside. And the sun came down because there was a lot of windows, so we wanted a nice dark background. And we were ready. And so we set down canvas 1, and Grahame got ready, videographers, Michael and the team got ready, and Grahame let go. And the beautiful thing about it is, at that point, like, Grahame is the conductor, right? But then the vessel, the thing holding the paint, is the instrument. And gravity is sort of the performer. Because at that point, it's gravity that takes and creates motion and puts the pendulum into this this natural, beautiful sort of geometric flow that is, it's sort of perfect. I mean, it's like the perfect improvisation, because gravity is this consistent force. But it's also influenced by Grahame. And then, of course, the canvas, I almost think of it like that's almost like the tape machine to a degree. It's the thing that's capturing the image. I don't know. I know I'm overthinking it and being a little esoteric in my description, but I just felt like the whole process really conveyed the music in this way. And the video really captures the three-dimensionality of the going around. And so we did a couple of smaller canvases, all of which turned out beautifully. And then once we were really primed and ready, we did sort of 2 large canvases that Grahame had prepared. And after each performance, or after each, pendulum performance, photographer Michael Rosendahl, also from Stratford, came, and we took photos of it right there in that place. Now, we also later took some clean shots of the canvases move, but here was what was cool. And ultimately, when we look at the cover, this is sort of what I'm getting at, is the canvas only captures about 50% of what's happening with the pendulum, right? Because we sort of put the pendulum in motion, and it starts in this wide circle, and then slowly starts to come into the canvas, and then eventually Grahame's got to get in there and catch it before it just makes a mess. He's really good at it. And so when you look at it, though, in place, we had this, big black fabric on the ground to keep the paint from getting on the floor. And actually, you see the entire shape there on the floor. But as soon as we lift the canvas off, it becomes a piece of art. But everything that's left is sort of like the extras. But Micah took photos up on a ladder, really up high, of the entire effect. And so you see this three-dimensionality in some of those photos. And so the very last canvas we did is the album cover. And it's just beautiful. I mean, I think that they're all beautiful. I think ultimately, like, most pendulum art is beautiful because of the gravitational aspect of it. But it's actually, when I was looking through the photos afterwards, like, I have the canvases, they're on my wall at home, and Michael has one as well. And when I was looking through the photos and working with the Andrew Kay, who's not only the saxophonist, bass clarinetist, and Himalayan bowl player on the record, but also did the album art. Very talented folks. We looked through the photos, and ultimately the photo that Micah took of the primary canvas with all of the paint surrounding it on the black sheet underneath it is actually the album cover. And what I love about that is that's actually a moment in time that only exists there in that moment. Because as soon as we took that canvas away, that can't exist anymore. Unless, of course, we were to, like, take the black sheet and perfectly keep it intact, but that was never the intent. And so I think it's cool that way, where you sort of come into something with a plan, but then ultimately the art sort of guides you. And I love that the final image ended up actually being something that was created then and there in that moment and could never be reproduced. So the back cover of the record is actually the blank canvas prior to it being painted on with the pendulum art. And the front cover is that beautiful moment in time. And then, you get to see in the song Flow or in the song Pendulum, the video, where we get to see it actually transpiring, and it's a thing of beauty. So I'm truly grateful to everyone who was involved, especially Grahame Lynch, who's the Pendulum artist and the brilliant designer and curator of this lovely album art. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy.